That's the theme that caught my attention and convinced me I wanted to learn this work. I'm Jeremiah Martin, and I wanted to share a little background information on Battison Haynes' Organ Sonata, Opus 11. 2020 has been a challenging year, but technology has allowed us to remain connected, and indeed make and create new connections in ways that could not have been imagined during the last global pandemic. As a hobby organist, I enjoy listening to uploads on contrabombard.com and came across this lovely meditation by Battison Haynes. Beautiful music by a composer with whom I was unfamiliar. Over to IMSLP, and I discovered there a sonata and also a song title that stunned me with its personal connection.
Not far from Alkinvara in the merry month of May, when birds were singing cheerily, there came across me.
This song, featuring my hometown, was something I'd heard growing up, and imagine my surprise learning that the musical arrangement was by the same Haynes. As I continued my search, I found a single commercial recording of this work by John Kitchen, a fantastic recording, and it's here I heard that third movement which convinced me I wanted to learn this work. Walter Battison Haynes was born at Kempsey, Worcestershire on November 21st, 1859. He received initial instruction in music from his uncle Mr. William Haynes, a well-known organist stationed at Malvern Priory Church and who was a strong supporter of his nephew. In 1878, the young Haynes made the pilgrimage to Leipzig and studied there at the Conservatorium. He rapidly gained recognition as a talented musician and composer, giving concerts and being awarded the Mozart Scholarship as one of the most excellent pupils in the Conservatorium. He studied under Professor Robert Paperitz, organist of the St. Nikolai Church in Leipzig, a position previously held by Bach. Paperitz himself leaned strongly towards chromatic harmonies and allowed his students significant latitude, which clearly helped Haynes in the development of his own harmonic language. Most of his significant published works come from this time period. After a brief stay in France, in 1884 he returned home to England, and in 1890 he was appointed Professor of Harmony and Composition at the Royal Academy of Music and organist and choir director at the Chapel Royale. Unfortunately, he passed away at the young age of 40. The 1900 Musical Times commented that the chief characteristics of his compositions are their melodic charm, their graceful ease, and it is impossible to say what he might have done. He was beloved by friends and students, and two of his most distinguished pupils at the Royal Academy of Music were Mr. Charles Macpherson and Mr. Harry Farjeon. His name lives on at the Royal Academy, where there is a prize for composition awarded. I found incredibly helpful this book written by Dr. Ian Quinn on the genesis of an English organ sonata. This represented an important time in the development of English organ music, and while symphonic organ design and musical development continued on the continent, English organ building was similarly undergoing significant advances. In addition to the organ sonata existing as an art form in itself, Dr. Quinn points out that it was commonplace in professional culture of the time for young musicians to compose a portfolio sonata as they began their career. Despite the impressive scope of Battison Haynes' sonata, his untimely death, with the sheer volume of new compositions at the time, likely contributed to the work's limited exposure. I wonder if we can change that. Let's take a brief tour of this epic work. The first movement is in traditional sonata form, and with its solemn opening statements clearly draws inspiration from its continental predecessors by Liszt and Reubke. The Allegro risoluto includes lots of melodic interest and furioso passages. Haynes was a superb organist. His published metronome marks are a significant ask, and I do my best to keep up. This contrasts with a beautiful second subject that features his signature chromatic harmony. The The second movement is a welcome break from the fire of the first and is a clear homage to Mendelssohn's lyrical style. Listen to this absolutely beautiful melody. The third movement, a scherzoso, was a novel break from prior three-movement sonatas and represented a new musical form for the organ in itself. A period review commented, "The term scherzo, applied to any music for the king of instruments, may seem inappropriate, but Mr. Haynes' example is vigorous rather than light and playful, and throughout it shows a good deal of orchestral feeling." The finale is a fantastic fugue. I especially like some of his creative counterpoint, including this statement that weaves the subject between a neighboring voice. The fugue comes to a particularly raucous conclusion which I will not spoil in this video, but I will tempt you further by mentioning that I have saved a signature stop for this section. And with that, let me briefly introduce the virtual instrument. Thanks to Gerwin Boswijk and Content in the Netherlands and Dewey Kuhn-Wood-Verden in nearby Cincinnati, I have this lovely MIDI console driving a Mac Mini running Hauptwerk 6. The sample set was recorded by Lavender Audio of the Armley Schulze. Situated in a suburb of Leeds, Armley is home to St. Bartholomew, which features an instrument built originally in 1869 for a private residence. The Schulze company brought new sounds to England, including the Lieblichgedeckt. This particular organ features a fantastic 5-rank mixture on the Great Manual, which has been described as canned lightning. I save this for the fantastic conclusion of the fugue. Therefore, it seemed fitting to play a work written by an Englishman in Germany on a German organ in England. Finally, I wanted to thank some people who have all been a part, big and small, of this project. First, if you're not a subscriber, go check out the Beauty and Sound YouTube channel. Run by Richard McVeigh, this features fantastic music and weekly virtual church and a great online community. Richard has provided me with invaluable tips and tricks to improve home audio quality. Second, Fraser Garchor, based in Germany, produces fantastic videos in English and German and is also working to bring organs and organ music to new audiences. Links are in the description. A special thanks to David Titterington at the Royal Academy of Music, who took interest in this project and helped share additional information on Battison Haynes, and to Adam Taylor from the Academy Library. My good friends in the international organ community listened to early versions of this. Dr. Mark Keane, organist and choir director and long-term friend from Galway, Ireland, Dr. Stanley Workman, who has continued to allow me opportunity to participate in musical events here in Portsmouth, Ohio, Graham Twist, a talented composer and organist from England, and Trevor Orme, a fellow Hauptwerk enthusiast and member of the Beauty and Sound online community. The pandemic has been particularly hard on those of us who are global citizens. I'm especially grateful to my mother, who perhaps unknowingly introduced me to Battison Haynes at a young age, and who drove me all over the country for music lessons. So if you have made it this far, thank you. All that remains is to have a listen to Battison Haynes' Organ Sonata Opus 11. You will need a comfortable spot, 28 minutes, and some good headphones or speakers, and I hope you enjoy.